throwaway account because my family might see this, and I'm still dealing with the fallout. Buckle up, because this is a wild one. So, 34M have always been the black sheep of my family. My brother Jason, 32M, was the golden child. Straight A's, star athlete, you know the type. I was different, more artistic, I guess. Didn't fit the mold. Anyway, I met Sarah, 30F, about 5 years ago. She was amazing, beautiful, smart, funny. We clicked instantly. I was head over heels, and honestly, I thought she was too. We got engaged last year, and I was the happiest I'd ever been. My family, though, they were less than thrilled. My parents always thought I could do better, and Jason, well, he just smirked and made snide comments whenever Sarah wasn't around. Little things, like calling her the help. She's a successful lawyer, BW. Or asking when she was going to find a real job. It was always these little digs, these subtle put-downs, that Jason specialized in. He'd make a point of emphasizing his own accomplishments, his fancy job at the law firm, the expensive car he drove, the designer clothes he wore. He'd compare my more modest lifestyle to his, not directly, of course, but with these carefully crafted comments that were designed to make me feel inferior. My parents, unfortunately, ate it up. They'd beam with pride whenever Jason talked about his successes, and I could see the disappointment in their eyes when they looked at me. It was like I was constantly being measured against him, and I always came up short. Sarah, to her credit, tried her best to ignore it. She'd brush off Jason's comments with a smile, but I could see it bothered her too. She was an accomplished woman in her own right, a successful lawyer making a name for herself, but to my family, it was never enough. They had this image of what my wife should be, and Sarah didn't fit the mold. They wanted someone who would fawn over Jason, someone who would fit neatly into their picture-perfect family. Sarah was too independent, too strong-willed, and that threatened them. I remember one particular incident at a family dinner. Jason had just gotten a promotion, and my parents were throwing a party to celebrate. Sarah had worked late that night, preparing for a big case, and she arrived a little late. Jason made a point of loudly announcing her arrival, saying, "Oh, look who finally decided to join us. Hope you weren't too busy with whatever it is you do." He said it with a smirk, and my parents just laughed. Sarah, bless her heart, just smiled and said, "Congratulations, Jason. That's wonderful news." But I could see the hurt in her eyes. It was like they were constantly trying to diminish her, to make her feel like she wasn't good enough for me. And the worst part was, I didn't do enough to stand up for her. I was so used to their behavior, I'd become complacent. I just let their comments slide, not wanting to cause a scene. But I should have done more. I should have told them to stop, to respect my fiancée, but I didn't. And that's something I'll always regret. Fast forward to a few months ago. I was out of town for a work conference. I come home early, excited to see Sarah, and she's not there. I call her, no answer. Then I get a text from my mom. "Come over, we need to talk." The text was cold, devoid of any warmth or affection. It was a summons, not an invitation. I had this sinking feeling in my stomach as I drove to my parents' house. I knew something was wrong, but I could never have imagined the bomb they were about to drop on me. I get to my parents' house and everyone's there. My mom, dad, and Jason. They sit me down and my dad says, "Sarah's pregnant." My dad looked uncomfortable, like he was reading from a script. My mom, on the other hand, was watching me intently, her eyes filled with a strange mix of pity and something else, something I couldn't quite decipher at the time. Jason was leaning back in his chair, a smug smirk playing on his lips. He looked like the cat who'd caught the canary. Okay, I'm thinking, great, we've been trying for a while, but then my mom says, "Jason's the father." Her words hit me like a physical blow. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The world started spinning, and I felt like I was going to be sick. I wanted to scream, to yell, to lash out, but I was frozen, paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of the betrayal. I don't even know how to describe what I felt in that moment. Betrayal? Heartbreak? Rage? All of the above. It was a cocktail of emotions, each one more potent than the last. I felt like I'd been stabbed in the heart, then had salt rubbed into the wound. The pain was excruciating, a deep, visceral agony that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Apparently, Jason and Sarah had been comforting each other while I was gone. Yeah, comforting each other, right into the sheets. And my whole family knew. They'd been covering for them. My own parents, my own flesh and blood, the people who were supposed to love and support me, had betrayed me in the most despicable way imaginable. They had stood by and watched as my brother and my fiancée carried on their affair, and they had actively helped them keep it a secret. It was a level of deceit that I couldn't comprehend. Jason, of course, is sitting there with this smug look on his face, like he just won the lottery. He was practically glowing with pride, reveling in his victory. He looked at me with this arrogant smirk, his eyes filled with a mocking triumph. It was like he was saying, "I won. I took her from you, and there's nothing you can do about it." It was infuriating. I wanted to wipe that smirk off his face, to punch him until he bled, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. It would just give him the satisfaction of knowing he'd gotten under my skin. Sarah shows up, and she's all tears and apologies, saying how it just happened. And she couldn't help herself, like I'm supposed to believe that crap. Her tears seemed fake, crocodile tears designed to manipulate me. Her apologies sounded hollow, empty words that held no meaning. She kept repeating the same phrases over and over, like she was reciting a script. It just happened. I couldn't help myself. "I'm so sorry." But there was no sincerity in her voice, no remorse in her eyes. It was like she was trying to convince herself as much as she was trying to convince me. And the worst part was, she had the audacity to try and touch me, to put her hand on my arm like everything was normal. I recoiled from her touch as if she were poison. I couldn't bear to be near her. The sight of her, the sound of her voice, filled me with disgust. But the worst part? My parents' reaction. They basically told me to forgive them. That Jason and Sarah were meant to be, and that I should just move on. They said I was overreacting, that family is the most important thing, and I should just be happy for Jason. Their words were like a knife twisting in the wound. They were essentially telling me that my feelings didn't matter, that my pain was insignificant, and that I should just accept their betrayal and move on. They were prioritizing Jason's happiness over my own, as they always had. It was like I was invisible, like my emotions were irrelevant. They had always favored Jason, but this was a new level of favoritism, a blatant disregard for my well-being. They were essentially condoning their affair, validating their actions, and telling me that I was the one in the wrong for being upset. Happy for the guy who slept with my fiancée and got her pregnant? Happy for the woman who betrayed me in the worst possible way? Yeah, no. I couldn't believe the words coming out of their mouths. It was like I was in some kind of twisted nightmare, and I was waiting for someone to wake me up, but this was real. This was my life, and my own parents were telling me to accept it. I walked out of that house and haven't spoken to any of them since. I didn't even pack my bags. I just left, leaving everything behind. I couldn't bear to stay in that house any longer. To be surrounded by the memories of Sarah and the constant reminders of my family's betrayal. I felt like I needed to escape, to get away from the toxicity and the pain. I drove aimlessly for hours, not knowing where I was going, just needing to put as much distance as possible between myself and my family. I ended up at a cheap motel on the outskirts of town, a place that was as far removed from my normal life as possible. I spent the night there, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened. Sleep was impossible. My mind was racing, replaying the events of the day over and over again. I felt like my world had been shattered, like everything I had ever known and trusted had been ripped away from me. Jason lost his job as a lawyer a few years ago. Turns out he was embezzling money to pay off a mountain of gambling debt. My parents begged me to help him out, to give him money, but I refused. I'm not enabling his behavior. Jason had always been good at keeping up appearances. He projected this image of success and competence, but behind closed doors, he was a mess. His gambling addiction had spiraled out of control, and he was drowning in debt. He'd been stealing money from his law firm to try and cover his losses, but eventually, he got caught. The scandal was huge, and it was all over the news. My parents, of course, were devastated. They couldn't believe their golden child had fallen so far. But instead of holding him accountable for his actions, they tried to protect him. They begged me to help him, to give him money, to pay off his debts, to help him find another job. They wanted me to bail him out, to clean up his mess, just like they always had. But I refused. I told them I wasn't going to enable his behavior anymore. He needed to face the consequences of his actions, just like everyone else. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was the right one. If I had given him the money, he would have just blown it all on gambling again. He needed to learn his lesson, but my parents couldn't see that. They just saw me as the ungrateful son who was turning his back on his family. My parents have been blowing up my phone, leaving me nasty voicemails, and even showing up at my apartment. They're saying I'm being selfish, that I'm ruining the family, and that I'll regret this someday. The voicemails are relentless, a constant barrage of guilt trips and accusations. My mom's voice, once filled with warmth and affection, is now cold and accusatory. She calls me selfish, heartless, and ungrateful. She reminds me of all the sacrifices they made for me, how they always put my needs first, and how I'm repaying them by abandoning them in their time of need. My dad's voicemails are less frequent, but they're just as hurtful. He tries to sound reasonable, but I can hear the anger and disappointment in his voice. He says I'm being stubborn, that I'm letting my emotions cloud my judgment, and that I'll regret this decision for the rest of my life. They even started showing up at my apartment, unannounced, banging on my door, demanding to be let in. It's like they're trying to wear me down, to break my resolve, but I won't give in. I've changed the locks, and I've told the building manager to call the police if they trespass again. I'm done being manipulated by them. Sarah and Jason are living together now, and from what I hear, they're acting all lovey-dovey, like they didn't completely destroy my life. It's sickening. They're flaunting their relationship, posting pictures of themselves on social media, looking all happy and in love. It's like they're trying to rub it in my face to show me how much better off they are without me. They're living in my house, sleeping in my bed, building a life together on the foundation of my pain and betrayal. It's a constant reminder of what I've lost, of the life that was stolen from me. And the worst part is, my parents are supporting them. They've welcomed Sarah into the family with open arms, treating her like the daughter they always wanted. They've completely erased me from their lives, replacing me with the woman who betrayed me. It's like I never existed, like I was just a ghost in their lives. Update 1. Well, Reddit, things have gone from bad to worse. If I thought my family's behavior couldn't get any more toxic, I was wrong. Since cutting them off, they've decided to launch a full-scale smear campaign against me on social media. It's like they're trying to destroy my reputation, to turn everyone against me. They're using every tactic they can think of, twisting the truth, spreading lies, and manipulating people's emotions. It's a calculated attack designed to inflict maximum damage. My mom has been posting these long, dramatic Facebook posts about how I've abandoned my family, how I'm a heartless son, and how I'm turning my back on the people who love me. She's even posting old photos of me as a kid, trying to tug at people's heartstrings. The posts are filled with emotional manipulation, designed to make me look like the villain in this situation. She paints herself as the victim, the long-suffering mother who has been wronged by her own son. She uses sentimental language, referring to the bonds of family and the unconditional love of a mother. She even posts old photos of me as a child, trying to evoke feelings of nostalgia and guilt. It's a calculated attempt to manipulate people's emotions and turn them against me. She knows how to play the victim, and she's using every trick in the book to make me look like the bad guy. Jason, of course, is chiming in with his own little digs, making vague accusations about my character and implying that I'm the one who's done something wrong. He's so subtle with it, but everyone knows what he's doing. Jason's comments are more insidious, more subtle than my mother's. He doesn't directly accuse me of anything, but he makes these vague insinuations about my character, implying that I'm somehow responsible for the situation. He uses carefully chosen words, phrases that are designed to cast doubt on my motives and make people question my version of events. He's a master of manipulation, and he's using his skills to undermine me. He'll say things like, "There are always two sides to every story," or "I just hope everyone knows the truth." It's these subtle digs, these carefully crafted comments, that are so damaging. They plant seeds of doubt in people's minds, making them question my integrity and my motives. He's trying to paint himself as the reasonable one, the voice of reason in this whole mess, while making me look like the unstable, irrational one. And my dad, he's not posting anything himself, but he's liking and sharing all of my mom's posts, so he's just as complicit. My dad's silence is deafening. He's not actively participating in the smear campaign, but he's enabling it. By liking and sharing my mom's posts, he's giving them his stamp of approval, validating her accusations and further damaging my reputation. He's essentially saying that he agrees with everything she's saying, that he believes her version of events, and that he's siding with her against me. It's a passive form of aggression, but it's just as hurtful as the direct attacks. He's showing me that he's not on my side, that he's chosen to believe my mother and Jason over his own son. They're tagging all my relatives, my friends, even my boss. It's insane. They're not just content with spreading their lies to their own circle of friends and family. They're actively targeting my entire network, trying to isolate me and destroy my support system. They're tagging my relatives, trying to turn them against me. They're tagging my friends, trying to alienate me from my social circle. They're even tagging my boss, trying to jeopardize my career. It's a relentless attack, a calculated attempt to ruin my life in every possible way. They're using social media as a weapon, and they're not afraid to use it to its full potential. The accusations range from me being abusive, which is rich, coming from them, to me being a terrible brother and son. They're even saying I was jealous of Jason's success and that I drove Sarah into his arms. The accusations are ludicrous, completely unfounded, and utterly outrageous. They're twisting the truth, fabricating stories, and spreading lies in a desperate attempt to discredit me. They're saying I was abusive, which is ironic considering Jason's history of violence and my parents' emotional manipulation. They're saying I was a terrible brother and son, even though I've always tried my best to be there for them, despite their constant favoritism towards Jason. They're even saying I was jealous of Jason's success, which is absurd, considering I've always been proud of his accomplishments, even though they were often used to belittle me. And the most hurtful accusation of all is that I drove Sarah into Jason's arms. They're trying to blame me for their affair, to make me feel responsible for their betrayal. It's a cruel and calculated attempt to shift the blame and avoid taking responsibility for their own actions. It's all lies, of course, but it's still incredibly hurtful. People I've known my whole life are now looking at me differently, questioning my character. The damage they're inflicting is immeasurable. People I've known my whole life, people I've grown up with, people I considered friends, are now looking at me with suspicion, questioning my character, and doubting my version of events. The lies are spreading like wildfire, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to defend myself. I'm constantly having to explain myself, to justify my actions, and to try and convince people that I'm not the monster my family is making me out to be. It's exhausting, demoralizing, and incredibly painful. It's like my entire life is being dissected and judged by people who don't know the full story, and it's all because of my family's malicious lies. I tried ignoring it at first, but it's gotten to the point where I can't. So I've started fighting back. I couldn't just sit back and let them destroy my life. I had to defend myself, to tell my side of the story, and to expose their lies. It was a difficult decision, but I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. My reputation, my career, and my sanity were at stake. I've been posting my own responses, calmly and factually refuting their claims. I've shared the real story, including Jason's embezzlement and my parents' attempts to cover it up. I'm trying to present the truth in a clear and concise manner, providing evidence to support my claims and exposing the inconsistencies in my family's accusations. I've shared the details of Jason's embezzlement, how he stole money from his law firm to feed his gambling addiction, and how my parents tried to pressure me into bailing him out. I've also shared the truth about my parents' favoritism towards Jason, how they always belittled me and dismissed my accomplishments. And I've shared the details of Sarah and Jason's affair, how they betrayed me, and how my family covered for them. I'm laying it all out there, exposing their lies and revealing their true colors. It's a risky move, but I feel like I have nothing to lose. My family has already done their worst, and I'm not gonna let them control the narrative any longer. The reaction has been mixed. Some people are on my side, offering support and calling out my family's behavior. I'm grateful for the support I've received from those who believe me, who see through my family's lies, and who are willing to stand by me. Their words of encouragement, their messages of solidarity, and their willingness to defend me have been a lifeline in this storm. They've given me the strength to keep fighting, to keep telling my story, and to keep pushing back against the lies. But the support is not universal. Others are still buying into my family's narrative, and some are just staying out of it altogether. Despite my efforts to expose the truth, some people are still clinging to my family's version of events. They're either unwilling to believe that my family is capable of such deceit, or they're simply too afraid to take sides. They're staying silent, not wanting to get involved in the drama. Or they're passively supporting my family by liking their posts and sharing their accusations. It's frustrating and disheartening to see people I thought I could trust turning against me, but I'm trying to focus on those who are on my side, those who are willing to support me through this ordeal. My parents and Jason have, of course, doubled down, calling me a liar and escalating their attacks. They're not backing down. They're not apologizing. They're not even acknowledging the truth. Instead, they're escalating their attacks, becoming more aggressive and more vicious in their attempts to discredit me. They're calling me a liar, accusing me of manipulating the truth, and trying to paint me as the villain in this whole situation. They're doubling down on their lies, refusing to admit that they've done anything wrong, and continuing to spread their toxic narrative. It's a relentless assault, and it's taking a toll on me. It's like dealing with a bunch of spoiled children. They're acting like petulant children, throwing tantrums and lashing out in anger because they're not getting their way. They're refusing to take responsibility for their actions, blaming everyone else for their problems, and resorting to childish tactics to try and get what they want. It's a pathetic display, and it's only further solidifying my decision to cut them out of my life. To make matters even worse, Sarah has now joined in. She's posting these tearful videos about how I'm trying to ruin her life and how she never meant to hurt me. The crocodile tears are flowing freely, let me tell you. Sarah's involvement has added another layer of complexity to this already messy situation. She's now actively participating in the smear campaign, trying to paint herself as a victim and garner sympathy for her actions. She's posting these dramatic videos filled with fake tears and insincere apologies, trying to manipulate people's emotions and make me look like the bad guy. She's claiming that I'm trying to ruin her life, that I'm harassing her by telling the truth, and that she never meant to hurt me. It's a pathetic attempt to deflect blame and avoid taking responsibility for her betrayal. The crocodile tears are flowing freely, and it's sickening to watch. She's playing the victim card, trying to garner sympathy and turn people against me. But I'm not buying it. I know the truth, and I'm not gonna let her manipulate me or anyone else. She's even trying to paint herself as a victim, saying I'm harassing her by telling the truth. It's unbelievable. She's twisting the narrative, trying to make it seem like I'm the one who's doing something wrong by exposing her lies and telling my side of the story. She's claiming that I'm harassing her by speaking the truth, by defending myself against her accusations, and by refusing to let her get away with her betrayal. It's a blatant attempt to silence me, to prevent me from exposing her lies, and to maintain her carefully constructed image of innocence. It's an unbelievable display of hypocrisy and manipulation, and it's only further solidifying my resolve to fight back. I'm so tired of all this. I just want to move on with my life, but they won't let me. I'm exhausted, both physically and emotionally. The constant attacks, the relentless lies, and the never-ending drama are taking a toll on me. I feel like I'm trapped in a nightmare, and I can't wake up. I just want to move on with my life, to heal from the pain and betrayal, and to build a future for myself. But my family won't let me. They're determined to drag me down with them, to keep me trapped in their toxic web of lies and manipulation. They're not letting me go, and I'm starting to feel like I'll never be free from their grasp. I'm considering taking legal action, A restraining order, maybe? I don't know if it would do any good, but I need to do something to protect myself. I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything else. I've tried ignoring them. I've tried reasoning with them, and I've tried fighting back, but nothing seems to work. They're relentless, and they won't stop until they've completely destroyed me. I'm starting to feel like my only option is to take legal action, to get a restraining order to protect myself from their harassment and their lies. I don't know if it will do any good, but I have to try something. I can't live like this anymore. I need to protect myself, my sanity, and my future. Has anyone else dealt with a family like this? Any advice on how to handle this situation? I'm feeling lost and overwhelmed. I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how to swim. I'm desperate for advice, for guidance, for someone to tell me that I'm not alone in this, and that there's a way out. I'm feeling lost, overwhelmed, and completely alone. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm reaching out to Reddit in the hopes that someone, somewhere, has been through something similar and can offer me some words of wisdom. I'm desperate for help, and I'm hoping that someone can throw me a lifeline. Update 2. Hey Reddit. I have some good news for once. Amidst all the chaos with my family, something positive has happened. I've met someone. It's like a ray of sunshine has pierced through the dark clouds that have been hanging over my life for so long. Her name is Emily, 28F, and she's amazing. We met at a coffee shop a few weeks ago, and we just clicked. It was an instant connection, a spark that ignited the moment our eyes met. She's kind, funny, and supportive, and she actually listens to me when I talk. It's a refreshing change from my ex, who always seemed annoyed by my existence. It's like I can finally breathe again, like I've found someone who truly sees me for who I am and accepts me unconditionally. We've been on a few dates, and it's going really well. Each date has been better than the last, filled with laughter, meaningful conversations, and a growing sense of connection. We have a lot in common, and I feel like I can be myself around her. It's still early, but I'm really excited about where this could go. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but I can't help but feel a sense of hope and optimism that I haven't felt in a long time. It's like I've finally found someone who understands me, who appreciates me, and who makes me feel like I'm not alone in the world. Of course, my family had to find out. My mom saw a picture of Emily and me on Facebook. I couldn't resist posting one. I was so happy, and she immediately started blowing up my phone. It was inevitable, I suppose. My family has this uncanny ability to sniff out any glimmer of happiness in my life and try to extinguish it. My mom, in particular, seems to have a sixth sense for when things are going well for me, and she always finds a way to rain on my parade. The moment she saw the picture of Emily and me, she went into attack mode, bombarding me with calls and messages, trying to undermine my happiness and drag me back into their toxic drama. She accused me of trying to replace Sarah, of rubbing my happiness in their faces, and of being disrespectful to my family. The accusations were predictable, the same old guilt trips and manipulations that she always uses to try and control me. She accused me of trying to replace Sarah, as if Emily is just some interchangeable object and not a wonderful person in her own right. She accused me of rubbing my happiness in their faces, as if I should be ashamed of finding joy after everything they've put me through. And she accused me of being disrespectful to my family, as if they haven't earned my disrespect with their lies, betrayal, and relentless attacks. I just hung up on her. I'm done engaging with their negativity. I'm not going to let them steal my joy. I'm not going to let them control my emotions. I'm not going to let them dictate my life. I've made a conscious decision to distance myself from their toxic behavior, and I'm going to stick to it. Every time I engage with them, it just drags me back into the darkness. I'm trying to move forward, to heal, and to build a happy life for myself. And I can't do that if I'm constantly being pulled back into their negativity. Emily, thankfully, has been incredibly understanding about everything. I told her about my family situation, and she's been nothing but supportive. She doesn't judge me, she doesn't try to fix me, and she doesn't pressure me to make any decisions I'm not ready to make. She simply listens, offers a comforting presence, and reminds me that I'm not alone. It's a level of support that I've never experienced before, and it's incredibly valuable. She's seen the scars, She's heard the stories, and she still chooses to be by my side. It's a testament to her strength, her compassion, and her unwavering belief in me. She even offered to go with me if I decide to pursue a restraining order, which is something I'm seriously considering. Her offer meant the world to me. It showed me that she's not just supportive in words, but she's also willing to stand by me in action. She's not afraid to face my family, to confront their negativity, and to help me protect myself from their harassment. It's a level of commitment and loyalty that I've never experienced before, and it's making me fall for her even more. The thought of having her by my side as I navigate the legal process is incredibly comforting. It gives me the strength and courage to move forward, knowing that I have someone who truly cares about my well-being. It's just nice to have someone on my side for once. Someone who isn't trying to manipulate me or make me feel guilty, someone who actually cares about my happiness. It's a breath of fresh air, a beacon of hope in the midst of a storm. After years of being surrounded by negativity, manipulation, and betrayal, it's a relief to finally have someone in my life who is genuine, supportive, and kind. Emily is a gift, and I'm so grateful to have her in my life. She's shown me what it's like to be truly loved and accepted, and she's helping me to heal from the wounds of the past. This whole experience has been incredibly difficult, but it's also taught me a lot. I've learned who my real friends are, and I've realized that I don't need my family's approval to be happy. I've discovered a strength within myself that I never knew I had. I've learned to set boundaries, to stand up for myself, and to prioritize my own well-being. I've also learned that true happiness comes from within, not from the approval or validation of others. I don't need my family's approval to be happy. I don't need their acceptance to feel worthy. I've found happiness on my own with Emily, and that's all that matters. I'm still dealing with the fallout from my family's actions, and I'm sure there will be more drama to come. The road to recovery is long, and I know there will be setbacks and challenges along the way. My family is not going to give up easily, and they're likely to continue their attempts to manipulate and control me. But I'm stronger now, and I'm better equipped to handle their attacks. I have Emily by my side, I have a support system of true friends, and I have a newfound sense of self-worth. I'm prepared for whatever they throw my way, and I'm determined to protect my happiness and build a better future for myself. But for now, I'm focusing on the positive. I'm focusing on Emily, and I'm focusing on building a life for myself that isn't defined by my toxic family. I'm choosing to focus on the good things in my life, on the people who love and support me, and on the future that I'm building for myself. I'm not going to let my family's negativity consume me any longer. I'm going to focus on Emily, on our growing relationship, and on creating a life filled with happiness, love, and peace. It's a conscious decision, a deliberate choice to prioritize my own well-being and to move forward with positivity and hope. I'll keep you all updated on the situation, but for now, I'm just going to enjoy this little bit of happiness I've found. I'm going to savor every moment, appreciate every smile, and cherish every memory I make with Emily. I'm going to allow myself to be happy, to feel joy, and to embrace the love that I've found. It's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless, and I'm going to celebrate it. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.